The following program originates live with the NBC television network.
NBC Sports presents the 1965 World Series. From Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, the Los Angeles Dodgers meeting the Minnesota Twins. Brought to you by
Chrysler Canada Limited and its dealers who sell Imperial, Chrysler, Dodge, Plymouth, Valiant, Dodge and Fargo trucks from Chrysler Canada Limited.
And by
the Gillette Safety Razor Company, maker of the slim, adjustable razor. The Gillette Super Stainless, the totally new Gillette Super Stainless blade. Foamy, the cream of all instant lather. Right Guard spray deodorant and new Heads Up hairdressing for men.
I got no feed in here. Can I have a network feed in here, please?
NBC Sports brings you the third game of the 1968 World Series. St. Louis Cardinals versus the Detroit Tigers from Tiger Stadium in Detroit, Michigan. Brought to you by
Gillette, makers of new foamy lemon lime shave cream and the new Techmatic adjustable razor. By the more than 1,350 branches in Canada of the Imperial Bank of Commerce. And by
Chrysler Canada Limited and the Dodge, Plymouth, Roots, and Simca dealers who sell the quality engineered cars and trucks by Chrysler.
NBC Sports brings you the fifth game of the 1968 World Series. The St. Louis Cardinals versus the Detroit Tigers. Brought to you by
Gillette, makers of new foamy lemon lime shave cream and the new Techmatic adjustable razor. By the more than 1,350 branches in Canada of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. And by
Chrysler Canada Limited and the Dodge, Plymouth, Roots, and Simca dealers who sell the quality engineered cars and trucks by Chrysler.
NBC Sports brings you the sixth game of the 1968 World Series. The Detroit Tigers versus the St. Louis Cardinals.
brought to you by
Chrysler Canada Limited and the Dodge, Plymouth, Roots, and and Simca dealers who sell the quality engineered cars and trucks by Chrysler.
By the more than 1,350 branches in Canada of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. And by Gillette, makers of new Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can.
In this baseball centennial year, today's game from Wrigley Field in Chicago, the Philadelphia Phillies versus the
I can't right now. I got to go inside.
NBC Sports presents the third game of the 1969 World Series. The Baltimore Orioles versus the New York Mets from Shea Stadium, New York. Brought to you by Salem Filter Cigarettes with the taste of springtime soft, menthol fresh. By Chrysler Corporation, engineering with care. Your host for today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. By Gillette. No blade feels as good as a Gillette spoiler except the Gillette injector spoiler. And by your Phillips 66 dealer, where you get premium flight fuel gasoline and famous Top Arctic motor oil. Shea Stadium, New York, a big dark cloud moving overhead, and we have a very excellent chance of some rain here, maybe very shortly. I'm Kurt Gowdy, along with Lindsey Nelson, Tony Kubek. Today, NBC Sports presents Game 2 of the 1970 World Series. The American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles, versus the National League champions, the Cincinnati Reds. NBC Sports presents Game 5 of the 1970 World Series. The National League champs, the Cincinnati Reds, versus the American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles. Brought to you by the Gillette Company, makers of Right Guard deodorant and Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can. By Phillips 66, the performance stock. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. And by Chrysler Corporation, extra care in engineering. Your host today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. When he was a boy growing up in Mansfield, Louisiana, Vida Blue's idol was Willie Mays. He never dreamed that someday he'd be playing in the same ballpark with his lifelong hero. And tonight, the first batter that the sensational young Vida Blue will face in this game will be 40-year-old Willie Mays. It should be just one of the dramatic moments of baseball's 42nd Major League All-Star Baseball game. It'll be brought to you by Gillette Platinum Plus, the razor blades with platinum smooth edges for smoother shaves. By Chrysler Corporation, extra care in engineering. Your host tonight, your local Dodge dealer. By Sears, best exterior latex house paint for great American homes like yours. By Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. And by Phillips 66, the performance stock. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. The World Series belonged to one man, Brooks Robinson. No player has ever had a more dazzling series both in the field and at bat. Robinson and his Baltimore teammates defeated Cincinnati 4 out of 5 in 1970 as they atoned for the loss to the New York Mets in 1969. And now it's World Series time again, and the Orioles must defend their World Championship against the hard-hitting Pittsburgh Pirates. The drama begins today in Baltimore, Maryland, as NBC Sports, a service of NBC News, presents Game 1 of the 1971 World Series. The National League champions, the Pittsburgh Pirates, versus the American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles. Brought to you by Chrysler Corporation, extra care in engineering. Your host today, your local Dodge dealer. By the two-bladed razor, the new Gillette Track 2 twin-blade cartridge shaving system. And by Phillips 66, the performance company. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts.
Hello and welcome to Shea Stadium in New York, where the temperature is 45 degrees. It has been raining all morning, a 70% chance of rain this afternoon, but the baseball strike is over, and Major League Baseball is back with us as of today. And the world champion Pittsburgh Pirates have come to New York to face the New York Mets.
Temperature in the mid-50s, misting, overcast in the Bay Area. And welcome to Game 4 of the 1972 World Series. The National League champions, the Cincinnati Reds, versus the American League champs, the Oakland A's. Brought to you by Gillette, makers of the Gillette Track 2 two-bladed shaving system. And by your Chrysler Plymouth dealer, highlighting Plymouth Satellite for 1973. Built to be seen, not heard. Hi, everybody. Kurt Gowdy of NBC Sports. Monty Moore, the voice of the Oakland A's. When are the hitters going to start hitting? Everybody's asking about this 1972 World Series. Welcome to Game 1 of the 1973 World Series. The National League champs, the New York Mets, versus the American League champions, the Oakland A's. Brought to you by your Dodge dealer. We invite you to see the beautiful all-new Monaco 474. And by Gillette, makers of new Track 2 twin injector blades for the best injector shave of your life. to Game 3 of the 1974 World Series. The National League champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, against the American League champions, the Oakland A's. Brought to you by your Chrysler Plymouth dealer, who invite you to see Cordoba, the new small Chrysler. And by Right Guard Powder Dry Antiperspirant, the anti-stain antiperspirant.
From Dodger Stadium, Game 6 of the 1978 World Series. The American League champions, the New York Yankees, versus the National League champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Brought to you by Light Beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by Dodge and your Dodge dealer, who invites you to come in and see why people are saying, hey, that's my Dodge. And by Etra, for closeness with comfort, it's Gillette's best shave.
On NBC's Game of the Week, see the explosive Kansas City Royals battle it out with the Milwaukee Brewers, or see the Orioles face hard-hitting Roy Smalley and the Twins next Saturday.
It'll be Lou Piniella, Greg Nettles, and Darrell Jones, and our baseball next week, Baltimore at Minnesota, those amazing Baltimore Orioles and equally amazing Minnesota Twins. I'm really anxious to see that game. Roy Smalley leading the league. Wilfong around second base. It really been something. Orioles 35-21. They lead Boston by a game. Milwaukee by 4. And Minnesota 2.5 games behind the California Angels. They're 30-24. 6 over 500. So it'll be Baltimore at Minnesota, from Minnesota, or the California Angels and the Detroit Tigers. There's a fastball that's high. Those Angels in first place, and the Tigers, boy, can they score runs. Kemp is having a big year. Those kids around second base. That's next week. Check the listings in your area for the game. Baltimore against Minnesota, or California and Detroit. NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Olympic Stadium, Montreal, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Montreal Expos. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Light Beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by Menon. Menon products take care of people who take care of themselves. And by Ford and your Ford dealers, who bring you the better idea cars and trucks for the 80s. And by Pepsi-Cola and your local Pepsi-Cola bottler, who invite you to catch that Pepsi spirit. Almost 60. Presents the League Championship Series. Tonight from Yankee Stadium, it's the Oakland A's against the New York Yankees. The American League Championship Series is brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. By Ford and your Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the 1982 Ford cars and trucks. By IBM, helping put information to work for people. And by Dutch Masters Cigars, the masters of natural wrapper tobacco. It's a cool, crisp night here in New York. Temperature about 53 degrees. A good crowd is on hand. Electricity all over this ballpark as we get ready for the game between the Oakland A's and the New York Yankees.
Ford and your Ford dealers who invite you to test drive the EXP, America's new personal sports coupe. By Light Beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. By Goodyear, makers of a Riva, even its footprint tells you it's different. And by new Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. Goes on so dry you can get dressed right away. Speed Stick by Minute. Now stay tuned for the second half of NBC's Major League Baseball doubleheader. Most of you will see the Cincinnati Reds take on the Los Angeles Dodgers or the Houston Astros battling the San Francisco Giants. Coming up next here on NBC, the innovative leader in sports television.
This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, the leader in innovative sports television.
NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Dodger Stadium, it's the Cincinnati Reds against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the EXP, America's new personal sports coupe. And by Lowenbrow, when you want the taste of a truly great beer, there's really only one. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrow. And by new Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. Goes on so dry, you can get dressed right away. Speed Stick by Minute. And by the camera unlike anything else in its class, the new Minolta XGM. Darryl Thomas.
New stew starter, too.
We now break away from regular network programming to bring you NBC Sports' fifth and final game coverage of the National League Championship. Olympic Stadium, Montreal, Canada, hit with a day-long rain yesterday that postponed the drama of the fifth and deciding game of the National League Championship. Fans, cameramen, and players patiently waited through a 3.5-hour delay before the game was called. The longest Major League regular season ever, with help from above, will be decided today. Ray Burris, a 9-7 record during the regular year, will start the most important game of his life, pitching for the pennant against a man and a team he beat in Game 2, the Dodgers' Fernando Valenzuela, whose screwball baffled opposing hitters all season long. The 20-year-old Valenzuela asked to climax a brilliant year by winning the National League Championship. The winner sails to New York for a World Series date with the Yankees. Sports presents the National League Championship Series. Today from Olympic Stadium, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Montreal Expos. The National League Championship Series is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the 1982 Ford cars and trucks. By the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. By GE. At GE, we bring good things to life. And by Hertz, the car rental company that's #1 for everyone. Olympic Stadium, Montreal, the scene for the final game of the 1981 National League season. The Dodgers and the Expos fighting for a chance to go to the World Series. It's gray and cold and drizzly in Montreal.
Missouri, bordering on the famed Mississippi River, the scene for Game 2, 1982 World Series between the Milwaukee Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals. The 1982 World Series is brought to you by ColecoVision, the arcade-quality home video game system. And by Anco, makers of wiper blades, refills, snow blades, and other windshield products to see your way clear. 53,000 fans jammed into Busch Stadium, St. Louis. The temperature in the 50s for Game 2 of this 1982 World Series. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Busch Stadium. I'm Dick Enberg. I'll be joining Joe Garagiola and Tony Kovac for our play-by-play account.
You're going to really enjoy them. On behalf of the entire Dodger organization, the city of Los Angeles, we welcome all of you, and you can rest assured that the Dodger Blue will give you exciting and aggressive baseball the entire season. Thank you very much.
NBC Sports presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Dodger Stadium, it's the Montreal Expos versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Sears Roebuck and Company. For quality merchandise coast to coast, it's Sears. And by Ryder Truck Rental, the best truck money can rent or lease. Dodger Stadium, the scene of today's action between the Montreal Expos and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Under pewter gray and somewhat weepy-looking skies, the Expos, who beat the Dodgers yesterday 8-3, this the second game of the three-game series. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, and welcome to the
WPTV, Plattsburgh, North Pole, Burlington.
Top of the ninth, last night in Montreal, with Jeff Reardon sidelined by a bad back. Bryn Smith is the man Bill Burton calls on in relief, but Tony Perez takes him downtown with two aboard. A 2-all tie snapped, and the Phillies are on their way to a 5-2 victory. Tony Perez, who will be 41 a week from today, has driven in 21 runs this year, and he's batting .345. They call on another of the Wheeze kids to wrap it up, 40-year-old Ron Reed. The tying run at the plate is the league's batting leader, Andre Dawson, 2 aboard, 2 out last of the ninth. Reed fans, Dawson, the Philly record 15-8. They lead the Cards by 2 in the National League East. NBC Sports presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Olympic Stadium, it's the Philadelphia Phillies versus the Montreal Expos, and the Game of the Week is brought to you by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Electric Shave. Electric Shave does for an electric razor what lather does for a blade. And by IBM. We're dedicated to the office, where it is now and where it will be. Day at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Bill Gullickson will pitch for the Expos. Larry Christensen will go for the Phillies. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas with Tony Kubek and sitting alongside Mike Schmidt on a hitting tear at the moment, and I would guess helped at least a little bit by the hot streak that Tony Perez has been in.
Well, no question, Bobby. It just seemed like when I'm not getting a hit now, I'm able to get down to first base with a walk, and I got 26 runs scored, which is, as far as I'm concerned, quite a lot for this time of year, and it's because of Tony Perez. And not only Tony, but Bo Diaz, who's hit a couple of 3-run home runs in the last few ball games. We're winning because of Tony Perez right now. Key hits, great hitter with men on base, and I just hope he can play like he's 25 years old and be out there every day all year.
Briefly, it's cool, it's early season, there are open dates. What happens to the Wheeze kids when the dog days arrive?
It's a good question. I guess this is the first year we've, or anybody has had a collection of older players like we have in Philadelphia, which is why we're not counting our chips right now. We realize we're in first place, and we realize we're old. So let's just wait until July, August, when we see you again, hopefully on the Game of the Week, and we can discuss that further.
Let's go over to Tony Kubek now with another of the game's greatest players, Andre Dawson.
All right, Bob. Hawk, when they talk about this Montreal Ball Club as being contenders in the Eastern Division National League, they talk about the tremendous ability, and yet
tradition continues. In 1969, the New York Mets were a miracle as they swept the Braves and marched on to a World Series victory. Now, Darryl Strawberry and the Mets battle Atlanta, or the Yankees take on the Royals. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting. Next Saturday.
Today in Chicago, Jack Morris, who beat every team in the American League last year, won 20 games, the first Tiger pitcher to win 20 since 1973, and on the way, led the American League in strikeouts. The White Sox counter with left-hander Floyd Bannister, virtually unbeatable after the All-Star game. He won 13 and lost 1. NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Comiskey Park, it's the Detroit Tigers versus the Chicago White Sox. The game of the week is brought to you by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Gillette Actra Razor, the twin blade razor that pivots for a close, comfortable shave. And by Delta Faucet, we're first because we last. Comiskey Park in Chicago, and the temperature at game time a nippy 50 degrees, where it is much warmer, however, down on the field because a lot of sunshine and beautiful blue skies overhead. A light breeze out of the northwest blowing in towards home plate from back of right center field. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola, the Windy City in Chicago, and what a great way to break the seal on 1984.
Break the seal is right. If you're sitting in the stands and you got an infield like mine, you better get that sucker covered, I'll tell you that. But, Vin, you know, it was interesting. Talking about the weather, Tony La Russa, the manager himself, talked about how he manages according to the weather, the wind, how he checks the flags. And you're going to have to watch that infield and outfield because it is heavy. The ball will be slow getting through there, so those guys will have to charge it. But we got two pretty good pitchers going.
Indeed, we do. In fact, just to finish that thought, Joe, did he say that when the wind blows in, we might see a little more hit and run?
A little more hit and run because you can't wait for that big inning. You can't get those power guys to hit the ball out of here, so he plays hit and run.
Now, here comes Sparky Anderson, the Detroit Tigers. I have never seen Sparky so optimistic, and one of the reasons, I guess, is one of the oldest cliches in baseball, how strong the Tigers are up the middle.
And he starts talking about it, and you can just see him just smile all over. Why not? Lance Parrish, who looks like a condominium, the shape he's in there behind the plate. At shortstop, this is an outstanding ball player, and Alan Trammell and Whitaker at second base, probably the best double play combination, I think, in baseball. And then in center field, Chet Lemon did himself quite a job last year, and he's beginning where he left off. Yesterday, he had a big day.
So two of the standout ball clubs in the big league. The Chicago White Sox are won by 20, and the Detroit Tigers, who seriously think they can upend Baltimore. Well, they'll be coming up right after this.
For years now, we've been kidding Jim here about his eyesight. The fact is that Jim has the eyes of an eagle. Thanks, Boog. Why, he's one of the first guys to spot light beer from Miller. Saw right away that light tastes great and it's less filling.
Sure, all you have to do is read the label. It says light has 1/3 less calories than a regular beer.
I think you want this, Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
As I was saying, it's the same as the nose on your face.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Oh, I don't believe this.
been a great ride, and we certainly hope you enjoyed the trip. Executive producer Michael Weissman leading the way, choosing the shots, and a great choice he made. From the nights in San Diego to the weekend here at Tiger Stadium. The coordinating producer, boy, he has seen as many thrills in Baseball World Series play as any man alive, and that would be our coordinating producer, Harry Coyle. The World Series has been produced. Boy, has it ever been produced. And a roll of drums, a doff of the cap, and a low bow from the waist to our producer, George Finkel. Directed by Harry Coyle. There were so many people involved, not just with the production of one game, but every day in the wee small hours, all the way back up to the other side of the clock. There are over 250 people whose names are being listed, and there are even more than that behind the scenes who made vital contributions. And as if it's a fitting climax to the hopes of a fine young San Diego Padre team, it is raining in Detroit. The pregame, all of the juicy anticipation that we shared with you, both the great moments from the past and the prospects of things to come, produced so very well by Les Dennis. And the pregame and the replay, giving us those wonderful moments again and again so that we could study them for the sheer delight of just looking at great baseball. That would be director Andy Rosenberg. The replay producer, Kenneth Edmondson. You talk about technical work. Imagine the work that takes place in two different ballparks from the West Coast almost to the East Coast. Well, the technical director in charge of equipment and manpower, Lenny Stucker. And the replay technical director. The replay of the fly ball to right field, of Gibson tagging up, of Gary Templeton standing in front of second base. So many great moments replayed. Hats off to our technical director, Bill Tobin. And how about the 25 Tigers with the manager, Sparky Anderson, his pitching coach, Roger Craig, his baseline coaches, Dick Trasuski and Alex Grammett, Coach Billy Consolo. He and Sparky were kids on the sandlot, 8 years old, and they've climbed to the pinnacle in baseball fortune. And the hitting coach, Gates Brown. And hey, don't walk away from this series without saluting the comeback kids from San Diego. They went down, but they have a man on every shot they had. Dick Williams and his fine staff. Norm Sherry is pitching coach. And his baseline coaches, Jack Kroll, Ossie Virgil. To the Deacon, Deacon Jones. And to the 25 who wore the brown and gold so well throughout the year, who won the division. Down on their knees, battle back to win 3 straight against the Cubs and beat the outstanding pitcher in the National League after spotting him 3 runs. How about them Padres as well? And how about baseball and the World Series? Next on NBC, Knight Rider, followed by The Final Battle. That's all tonight right here on NBC. So whatever you do, don't go away. In the rain at Tiger Stadium, one of the brightest moments in Tiger history as they defeat the Padres 8-4 and become the world champions of 1984. For Joe Garagiola, this has been Scully, wishing you a very pleasant good evening. Come to think of it, have a great year.
Last night, Shea Stadium, scoreless game, bottom of the 4th. George Foster's 2-run home run gets the Mets in the lead against the Philadelphia Phillies and Steve Carlton. But the night belonged to Dr. K. 13 strikeouts. There he gets Mike Schmidt, who's been struggling for the Phillies. The 5th victory of the year for Gooden. The Mets lead the National League East by a half game. Today, the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies on NBC.
A moment edged in time. Tug McGraw relieving Tom Seaver, getting the last out against the Cincinnati Reds, and the New York Mets keep a date with Oakland in the World Series. Last night, the Mets are still trying to keep a date for postseason play. Darryl Strawberry's ground rule double by inches. Now you go back to 1981. Rick Monday against Steve Rogers. Andre Dawson to the wall, and it's gone. And the Dodgers keep a date with the Yankees in the World Series. And once more, it is date time. And Pedro Guerrero in the shoes of Monday and all of the other great Dodgers trying to put them into postseason play.
Sports presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today, from Dodger Stadium, it's the New York Mets versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Lowenbrau. When you want the taste of a truly great beer, there's really only one. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrau. By Ford, who invites you to drive the new Ford Escort. Have you driven a Ford lately? By NCR, who bring you a better personal computer. And by Anderson Window Walls. Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson.
A beautiful Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles, and welcome to Dodger Stadium with the New York Mets and right-hander Ed Lynch and the Los Angeles Dodgers and left-hander Jerry Royce. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. This won't be anticlimactic considering the pennant race, but we're picking up the pieces from a masterpiece last night.
Probably one of the best games I've ever seen. I don't know how you feel about it, but I tell you, it was great pitching, great everything, and it had that extra dimension that with that drug trial going on in Pittsburgh, the shadow being over all of baseball, but especially the Mets, without their star player, to hang in the way they did, you really have to pay tribute to them because it is a pennant race and they're right in the middle of it.
And despite all the trouble in Pittsburgh, it also goes to show you the game is much bigger than anybody who ever played it, anybody who plays it now, anybody who will play it. And with Gooden and Valenzuela on the mound, a gem. Today, the Mets coming back find themselves a game and a half behind the Cardinals. The Dodgers right now leading by 7.5 and 8, so more pressure on New York.
Not only New York, races are changing all over baseball. We're going to have quite a finish in this season.
Well, we're going to find out about the starting lineups as well as another good one coming up right after this.
An American tradition continues. In 1978, it was dubbed the modern-day shot heard round the world. Bucky Dent's three-run homer helped clinch one of baseball's greatest comeback seasons. Next Saturday, the intense rivalry continues as the Yankees host the Red Sox or the Royals meet the Blue Jays. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting.
Flashbacks to the glory days of the Reds and the Mets. Davey Johnson, now the Mets manager, was wearing Orioles togs when he flied to Cleon Jones, and Jerry Koosman and the rest of the Mets celebrate their miracle of 1969. Another left-hander, Will McEnany, on the mound in 75 for the Reds at Fenway Park. Yaz's fly ball squeezed by Geronimo. The celebration begins. In the middle of it, Pete Rose, still a part of the Reds as both player and manager a decade later.
NBC Sports presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Riverfront Stadium, it's the New York Mets versus the Cincinnati Reds. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Ford, who invites you to drive the new Ford Escort. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Light Beer from Miller, everything you've always wanted in a beer, and less. By Honda Motorcycles, Honda, follow the leader. And by Wagner, the right tool for painting.
A perfect day for baseball at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Mets will send youngster Roger McDowell to the mound. He's 2-0. Pete Rose's Reds will go with Jay Tibbs. He's pitched well, but despite that fact, his record is 0-4.
Evans led the American League with 40 homers a year ago, but hit just 207 against left-handed pitching. Thus, Sparky Anderson says Evans will not play every day in '86, sitting against some left-handers. Today, from Tiger Stadium in Detroit, it's the White Sox and the Tigers on the NBC Game of the Week.
The National Broadcasting Company, now in its 6th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today, from Tiger Stadium in Detroit, it's the Chicago White Sox versus the Detroit Tigers. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Miller Beer. Miller made the American way since 1855. By Castrol, the motor oil engineered for smaller cars. And by United States Liberty Coins. Keep Liberty in mint condition with United States Liberty Coins.
One of the truly great ballparks, Tiger Stadium in Detroit, where today right-hander Walt Terrell goes for the Tigers. He's 2-1. Lefty Floyd Bannister for the White Sox. His record 1-2. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas with Tony Kubek.
This is Marv Albert in New York. Up at Yankee Stadium, Bob Shirley replaced the ailing Ed Whitson, who was supposed to start at home for the Yankees today, but Shirley was knocked out in the first by the Indians. Pat Tabler with his 2-run double. Indians over the Yanks 3-0 in the bottom of the first. Back to Bob and Tony. Thank you, Bob. And in St. Louis, Sid Fernandez off to a blazing start. 4 straight strikeouts. He's with 5 out of the 6 men he's faced. The Hot Mets lead the Cardinals 4-1 in the 4th. Back to Bob and Tony. Thanks, Tony. At the stadium in the Yankee 4th inning, Ron Hasse disagreeing with a called 3rd strike. Hasse and manager Lou Piniella go berserk in a tag team match with the umpire. Both get the thumb. Yanks trail Cleveland 3-1 in the 5th. Back to Bob and Tony.
National Broadcasting Company. Now in its 6th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Anaheim Stadium, it's the Kansas City Royals versus the California Angels. The Game of the Week is brought to you by your Toyota dealer and the new 4x4 gas turbo truck. Who could ask for anything more? By Miller Lite. For great taste, there is only one light beer. By IBM and its family of personal printers for the finishing touch. And by Nestle's Crunch. Chocolate is scrunches when it crunches. That's why you'll love Nestle's Crunch.
Hi, everybody. Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to Anaheim Stadium as we come on the air a little on horseback. The Angels leading the Royals 3-1. We have 2 out and the base is empty in the top of the 2nd inning. If we have a chance to show you how the scoring occurred in a minute, we will. Otherwise, in the bottom half of the inning. Verbally, we can tell you that in the 1st inning, Lonnie Smith doubled to left, took 3rd as Law grounded out, and Don Sutton with 2 out opted to pitch to George Brett, and Brett singled to center to score Lonnie Smith, and that gave the Royals a 1-0 lead. This is Jamie Quirk striking out. That's his 2nd strikeout for Don Sutton, and so at the end of an inning and a half, the Angels 3, the Royals 1. We told you how the Royals scored in the 1st inning. In the bottom of the 1st inning, after Rupert Jones had singled to right, it brought up Wally Joyner. And Joyner hit a curveball as sweet and as far as you could ask over the right field barrier, and that gave the Angels a 2-1 lead. Then Reggie Jackson walked, and with 2 out, Rob Wilfong hit a single to center. Willie Wilson had the ball go by him, and on the error, Reggie Jackson scored with Wilfong stopping at 3rd. Schofield struck out, and that was it. Game 6 of the 1986 World Series is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft smoothness. It's beer at its best. By Merrill Lynch. Your world should know no boundaries. By the American Express card. Don't leave home without it. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
National Broadcasting Company, now in its 7th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Tiger Stadium, it's the Toronto Blue Jays versus the Detroit Tigers. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevy truck. By Embassy Suites Hotels, where you get a beautiful 2-room suite for the price of a single room. And by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows.
tradition is here. The memories are waiting. Next.
For 21 years, the Minnesota Twins called Metropolitan Stadium home, and there were some superb seasons at the Met, sparked by the power of Hall of Famer Harmon Killebrew. The Twins made it to the World Series in 1965 and to the playoffs in 1969 and 1970. For the last 6 years, the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome, affectionately known as the Homer Dome, has been home field for the Twins, and a capacity crowd of 55,000 is on of the Metrodome in just a moment. And this American League Championship Series pregame show is brought to you by Taco Bell. Say hello to fresh, exciting taste. Just say hello, Taco Bell. And by Lennox. When it comes to heating and air conditioning, you can't do better than Lennox. To the Twin Cities, we are at the Metrodome in Minneapolis.
The tradition is here. The memories are waiting. 10 years ago, an unlikely hero named Bucky Dent stunned the Fenway faithful and helped the Yankees cap an incredible comeback season. Next Saturday, these two pennant contenders meet again as the Red Sox host the Yankees, or the Giants meet the Astros. The game of the week, only on NBC. NBC Sports puts all the pieces together, blending a tradition rich in memories with innovation and the latest in television technology. Great moments come alive on NBC Sports.
Baseball takes over, as most of you will see. The New York Mets, with the best record in the majors, going against the vastly improved Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field in the Windy City. Or some of you will see the world champion Minnesota Twins as they continue their winning ways in the AL West. Last night they beat Oakland and trailed by only 5 games, but American League home run leader Jose Canseco and the Athletics look to bounce back this afternoon. But first, NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball. An inside look brought to you by Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken is home. And by the Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marv Albert.
This is the NBC Television Network.
NBC Sports puts all the pieces together, blending a tradition rich in memories with innovation and the latest in television technology. Great moments come alive on NBC Sports.
Today, most of you will see the streaking American League West leading Oakland A's with Canseco, Baylor, Parker, and McGuire as they take on Joe Carter and the surprising first-place Indians in what promises to be an explosive matchup. Some of you will see the red-hot Johnny Ray and his California Angels against George Bell and the Toronto Blue Jays. Following baseball, we'll take you to the links for the Liberty Mutual Legends of Golf. But first, NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball, an inside look, brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers, and by Pennzoil Motor Oil, world-class protection. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marv Albert in New York, and thanks for joining us for the start of our baseball day here on NBC. Later on, we'll be talking with one of the game's outstanding players, center fielder Joe Carter of the rejuvenated Cleveland Indians. But the big baseball story, the Baltimore Orioles finally did it. Last night in Chicago, they beat the White Sox 9-0 to end the losing streak at 21. In the first inning, it was Eddie Murray getting the Orioles off to a 2-0 start with this 2-run shot.
An American tradition continues. During the decade of the 70s, a slugger named Reggie helped Finley's A's capture 3 consecutive World Series championships. Now home run hero Jose Canseco powers the Oakland A's as they face the Red Sox, or the Astros meet the Pirates. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting.
Welcome to Wrigley Field, Chicago, and Game 1 of the National League Championship Series between the San Francisco Giants and the Chicago Cubs. Temperature in the Windy City, a warm 55 at this hour with light breeze 5 to 10 miles an hour, and the forecast fair and cloudy. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully along with Tom Seaver. Welcome to Wrigley Field. And we do what everybody does. When you come to the ballpark, we check the flags, and they're not stirring.
Everybody checks the flags when they come here, Vin, especially the pitchers. They'll tell you they don't adjust their game according to the way the flags are blowing. That's not the truth. They will check the flags, whether it's blowing in, out, or not blowing at all. It is a factor at Wrigley Field.
Well, what does it mean now as far as the Cubs? Is there an advantage to either team?
There's definitely an advantage at not blowing in for the Giants, with their two big power hitters, Clark and Mitchell. Having the wind not blowing in gives an advantage to the Giant ball club, I believe.
What do the Cubs have to do to keep the Giants quiet?
You got to keep the first two guys off the base, Butler and Thompson. I think that's the key for Don Zimmer and the Cubs if they want to win. Keep the two guys off the base. Don't give up the 3-run home run.
Now, what does Roger Craig and the Giants have to do to keep the Cubs down?
You never know what Zim's going to do. He'll hit and run and do anything. And the big thing I think that the Cubs will do, they will run, and they will definitely run on the Giant catcher, Terry Kennedy.
Well, it's going to be wild and woolly, so pull up a chair. They'll be rolling around Wrigley right after this.
Game 1 of the National League Championship Series.
It is hard to realize the Cubs are playing another team, but they are. And for the Giants, they must feel somewhat alone on an island.
The 67th renewal of baseball's All-Star Game on a muggy night at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. It rained about an hour ago. They pulled the tarp onto the field. It's been taken off now. No rain falling at the moment. There is a chance of rain in the forecast. Game time temperature about 80 degrees as the National Leaguers, who have won 2 in a row on the heels of a 6-game American League winning streak, play host to the junior circuit. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the All-Star Game. I'm Bob Costas, joined in a bit by Bob Uecker and Joe Morgan.
Hey, guys, you might want to...
New York Yankees, who have now won 5 in a row, and what a road team, winning 22 out of 28 on the road this year against the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers coming fresh from winning 3 out of 4 from Boston over the weekend, and now only 2 games out of second place. ABC's Monday Night Baseball is brought to you by Texaco, doing the whole job, finding and producing oil and converting it to the products you need. By Chevrolet, like baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie. Chevrolet is an American favorite. Drive a Chevy and believe. And by light beer. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less.
It's the New York Yankees against the Kansas City Royals. Ed Figueroa against Dennis Leonard. Game 5 of the American League Championship Series.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball, live from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. The Boston Red Sox host the California Angels. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Chevrolet and Chevrolet dealers coast to coast. By the newest member of Gillette's All-Star team, Pomade Tropical Coconut Shave Cream. Every shave is like a trip to the tropics. By the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. And by Allstate Insurance Companies. You're in good hands with Allstate. The heat and humidity of midsummer hangs over old Fenway Park tonight as the Red Sox host the California Angels. ABC's Sunday afternoon baseball. A big ball game from Philadelphia between the Expos and the Phillies. ABC Sports presents the 1981 World Series. From Yankee Stadium in New York, the Dodgers and the Yankees. Last Thursday, the Yankees claimed their 33rd American League Championship with a 3-game sweep over the Western Division champion Oakland A's. The Los Angeles Dodgers had to go 5 games with Montreal before they could claim their 17th National League Championship. It came on a 9th-inning home run, the Dodgers winning 2-1. And tonight, the Yankees and Dodgers meet in Game 1 of the 1981 World Series. And this ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Chevrolet, who invites you to see all the good things for 1982 at your local Chevy dealers. Chevy makes good things happen. By Seiko and your authorized Seiko dealer. This plaque is the sign you can trust to get the best of Seiko. By the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. And by General Electric. GE makes products that make life easier and better. At GE, we bring good things to life. Hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jones.
ABC Sports presents the 1982 All-Star Game. From Olympic Stadium in Montreal, the best of the American League meets the best of the National League. And the 1982 All-Star Game is brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. By Gillette Actra Razor. It pivots to continually adjust and hug every curve and contour of your face for a close, comfortable shave. And by Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealers from coast to coast. And welcome back to Olympic Stadium. I'm Al Michaels, and it's on to the game itself. The National League, can they...
Is a presentation of ABC Sports. This year, from Sarajevo, Yugoslavia to Los Angeles, California, the ABC Olympic tradition continues. ABC Sports presents the season premiere of Monday Night Baseball. From Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California, the Cincinnati Reds take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil, now in easy pour and easy to reseal plastic bottles. And by TR3 Auto Polish. You want tough? TR3 is tough.
In Kansas City, Game 7, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. Last night, a classic and a classic pitchers duel through 7. Charlie Lebrand for the Royals and Danny Cox for the Cardinals. Then in the 8th, Brian Harper, pinch hitting for Cox, broke his bat, but this single to center made it 1-0 St. Louis, and it looked like it would stand up. But then, with 1 out in the 9th, Dane Orge singles to right to drive in 2. Kansas Cityans took to the streets to celebrate. They hope it continues tonight. Another gorgeous night, temperature in the 60s. Let's review how we got here. Games 1 and 2 belong to St. Louis. They went back to Busch Stadium. In Game 3, Kansas City made it St. Louis 2 and KC 1. And then 2-1, Game 4, 3-0. It looked like the Cardinals were ready to clinch, but in Game 5, KC 1. And then the dramatic game last night in which Kansas City, with 2 in the 9th, beat St. Louis. Hello again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to Game 6. The National League champion St. Louis Cardinals against the American League champion Minnesota Twins in Game 2 of the 1987 World Series. And a gorgeous shot at dusk on this beautiful October Sunday night. The Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, framed by downtown Minneapolis, and inside more than 55,000 will look on once again to see if their Twins can take a 2-0 lead in the World Series. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to Game 2. The Cardinals have sort of been here before. They were blown out last night by a score of 10-1 in 19.
Next Saturday, the Red Sox face the Orioles or see the Padres take on the Dodgers. This summer, it's baseball on CBS.
Look, Grandpa.
Great catch tomorrow. You know, I never thought I'd say this. It's a beautiful night for baseball. Let's play, too.
Leading off and playing center field, the National League batting leader from the Philadelphia Phillies, Len Dykstra. Batting second and playing second base.
Well, of course it's a full moon on a perfect night for baseball. The same moon you're looking at, only this one is shining on the Queen City of Cincinnati on a crisp autumn evening with temperatures in the 60s as two teams try to harvest the National League pennant. Before a sellout crowd at Riverfront, the fans began arriving early, and like the Pirates and the Reds, who were shut out of postseason play in the 80s, they are happy to be back. And we're happy to have you join us for Game 1 of the 1990 National League Championship Series, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds. And
to Lou Piniella. Tipping his own cap after giving that intentional walk, and it paid off. Struck out lean and got the pitcher.
Lou, one of the few managers in the major leagues that still wears his watch when he's in uniform. You ought to be out of uniform wearing your watch.
Here the strike to from Zane Smith to Billy Hatcher, who cracked the home run into left center in the second inning. His first home run ever.
Coming up next from CBS Sports, the National League Championship Series.
Well, they're home from school and the steel mills now, and Pittsburghers want to see some heat and sparks generated by their beloved Pirates. And as the fans file past the statue of Honus Wagner, they hope that the spirit of the Flying Dutchman will be rekindled tonight. They also hope that they won't have to open those umbrellas. It's been threatening all day here, but we have a hunch we're going to get this one in. They don't want the Bucks to stop here, so stand by for Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. It's the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates on CBS Sports. Well, whoever invited the Braves to the pennant race apparently never told them they weren't supposed to stay. The Dodgers couldn't send them home, and neither could the Pittsburgh Pirates, even though the Bucks held a 3-2 advantage. And so the Braves' excellent adventure continued, and now it's the Twins, the Horatio Algers of the American League.
Pretty well hit. This ball is going to go.
Down 2-0, the hands of destiny picked up the chop.
Here comes Justice. Here's the throw from Nash. Here's Lemke.
There was justice but no mercy as the Braves swept 3. And now it's in Minnesota's hands. They've never lost a World Series game in the Metrodome, but if they lose tonight, it will be the Atlanta Braves who will be known as world champions. Welcome back to the Midwest, where outside it feels like old man winter is knocking on our door, but let him knock, because there are some boys of summer who aren't ready to trade their baseball gloves for mittens just yet. And welcome back inside the Metrodome, where if you're a Minnesota Twin, the first things you do are kiss the artificial turf, wink at that Teflon ceiling, and rejoice that the only drums pounding are those inside your ears. Yes, folks, if you're a Twin, you click those cleats together and whisper, "There's no place like Dome. There's no place like Dome." So, prop Toto up on your lap. Settle in for Game 6 of the World Series, live from the Metrodome. It's the Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins right here on CBS Sports.
Thursday night, Darryl Strawberry returned to Shea Stadium in a big way. A 3-run home run, and the Dodgers won round 1. Last night, the ex-Met faced the ex-Dodgers, Sid Fernandez, and again took it deep, much to the dismay of the hometown crowd. This time, however, the script was different. Kevin McReynolds responded with a 3-run blast to even the series. Today, with the temperature expected to reach the 100 mark, the heat will be on both teams as the Dodgers beat the Mets live from Shea Stadium. And CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. This will be the third game of a 4-game series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets. All 4 games have been sellouts, and you can bet that the folks came here dressed comfortably for the ball game today. In fact, Tim McCarver and I are the only people in New York wearing a necktie. Here's a look at the weather. 95 degrees on the field. 104, thank you. And the standings are very interesting. In the East, it appears to be a 2-team race. Cardinals 9 games out. The Mets only 4 behind Pittsburgh. In the West, the Dodgers by 3 over Atlanta. They're only 2 out on the loss side. And Cincinnati's still right there, Tim McCarver. Only 5.5 out.
I've got playoff fever. You do? I'll go call a doctor.
Well, contrary to popular belief, it was not Horace Greeley who...
From the Oakland Coliseum, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Oakland A's in Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. And the fans here hope it's not the last stand for their athletics. The Blue Jays can win the pennant with a victory over the Oakland A's today.
Some say last year's was the greatest World Series ever played. Now, the battles of October are about to begin again on CBS.
You could not ask for a better night for baseball as you look down on Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where we are approaching Game 4 of the National League Championship Series.
In the words of manager Jim Fregosi, the Phillies play their most important game of the year tonight against the Braves in Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Tim McCarver, and it's great to have you with us. The Braves lead this series 2-1.
What once was a best-of-7 has now come down to a best-of-3. A couple of 2-game winning streaks have seen to that. And now it's time for Game 5 of the American League Championship Series between the Chicago White Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Tonight it's baseball, but Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Hearts of the West, and Walker, Texas Ranger will be back with new episodes after the World Series.
The battles of October have brought us the stuff real-life legends are made of. Now, as the World Series enters its 9th decade, we're still filled with that same sense of awe when the champions of the American and National Leagues clash to create the annual Fall Classic.
Back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor. Way back, it is. Oh, here comes the pitch. Strike three. A no-hitter. Perfect game for John Morrison. Back to the ball goes by. It is. If it stays there, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. Got a ground ball, trickling. It is a fair ball. Gets by Buckner. Down the third night. The Mets will win the ball game. The Mets win. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable. A home run for Gibson. I don't believe what I just saw.
Into deep left center for Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Last time Canada put the world in the World Series. This year, Toronto is back, looking to become the first team to win back-to-back World Series since those Yankees in '77 and '78. But in their path stands a cast of inventive thinkers from Philadelphia who are flying higher than a kite. Now, both Blue Jays and the Phillies are looking to catch lightning one more time and capture that childhood dream. This is Toronto, Ontario. It's a city that takes its sports quite seriously, and if you're lucky enough to live here,
This is the final game of the regular season. The White Sox and the Red Sox at Fenway Park. And we still don't know who the division champion is in the American League Eastern Division.
This morning, the sun rose on a day like no other. A day steeped in tradition, yet forever young. When glories of the past and dreams for the future become one. Today, fans across the country celebrate baseball's opening day. ESPN's coverage starts on a rainy and cool afternoon at Royals Stadium in Kansas City. Today is the Kansas City Royals against the Baltimore Orioles. I'm Bob Carpenter.
This is Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, where tonight the division-leading Cincinnati Reds meet the Los Angeles Dodgers. Next. The scene at Riverfront Stadium, where on Sunday Night Baseball the Los Angeles Dodgers meet the Cincinnati Reds atop the Western Division in the National League. The Reds have been there all season long, but now it's getting to be dire for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They need a victory, and they need one right now, 9.5 games out. Hello, everyone. John Miller.
Tonight, a great matchup north of the border in Toronto. Great play.
Welcome to Baseball Tonight with Peter Gammons. I'm Carl Ravitch.
Trifecta. Our Sunday night game, Red Sox and the Yankees, folks. Yankee Stadium, fans all fired up on ESPN HD, presented by Phillips, John Miller, Joe Morgan, and Samantha Ryan. Enjoy it.
Now in our 16th season as our National Pastimes Game of the Week. This is ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Edgy and alive, hard and fast, crackling with energy and light. New York will always be known as the city that doesn't sleep. But when the Red Sox come to town, that all changes. The eye-popping, pulse-pounding pace of the day gets put on hold because the only thing that matters is beating Boston.
Check it out. I'm just excited to see the Yankees playing the Red Sox. It's a holiday weekend, so I came up from Florida to see the Yankees play.
The Yankees opened with the big unit on Friday night, but it was the Sox who scored first. Jason Varitek's two-run homer in the fifth gave Boston a 2-0 lead. But in the top of the sixth, with a chance to extend the lead, the Sox had two runners gunned down at home plate, keeping the Yankees close. Then, in the bottom half of the inning, the Yankees offense took over. Gary Sheffield hit the second of two straight homers, and that powered the Yankees to a 6-3 Game 1 win.
We're beating on the Red Sox. Can't beat us. They can't beat us. We're good. Last year it was lucky. Luck. Gonna get them this year. It was a curse.
Matt Clement throwing today, and I saw him pitch last Sunday. If he throws anywhere near like he did last Sunday, the Yankees are in trouble today.
Well, that Sox fan proved prophetic. Clement stepped in and silenced the Yankee bats with 6 shutout innings, and the Red Sox offense was awesome. They pounded out hit after hit against a defenseless Yankee pitching staff. The Boston bats just continue to pour it on. A grand slam by Renteria. A 3-run shot by Trot Nixon. And a solo homer by Jay Payton. Just a taste of the 17 runs and 27 hits the Red Sox hung on the Yankees.
What an embarrassment. This was absolutely, George, the worst game I've ever seen in my entire life.
It is a matchup that means so much to so many. A cold-blooded rivalry for sure, but also a warm family tradition, binding generations of fans, sharing one simple truth. There's nothing as intense as Boston, New York. Now, Game 3, the rubber match next.
It's the big city of New York. And right now, when the Red Sox are in town, all roads lead to Yankee Stadium, the big ballpark in the Bronx, as Reggie Jackson used to call it. There are Red Sox fans here, but not too many of them. You'll see a lot of Yankee hats here tonight. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Bank of America. And tonight is those two great old antagonists, the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. Now, the Boston Red Sox had 17 runs, 27 hits. Big Red Machine never did that. Not 27. No. All right, so they can hit. But, as the old Yankee manager Casey Stengel once said, 50% of this game is 90% pitching. And I never exactly understood what that meant, but the
worldwide leader in sports, 60 Minutes, 2 shows. First, Baseball Tonight.
Center for the next 3 years. Wildlife here at Target Field.
So that's our last, and then keep winking and blowing kisses because you're flirting with death. I'm destroying your livelihood. I ain't just hurting your breath. I catch a flow and get going. No remorse, I'm sowing. They slowing for knowing there's nothing you can do about it.
We just had an earthquake, boys. Feel it? We're shaking.
Second, out at second. The run doesn't count. The Angels win it.
It's a home run. It's a grand slam, and the Braves win it.
He thought he caught it. Shoot. Oh, heck.
Zeroing on my target like a marksman. The target is you. I shut your lane down. Took your spot, parked in a two. Arsenic flow, light up moon saliva. What can you do? Go get your crew to hype you up. Stand behind you like, woo! That boy's hot enough to melt hell.
Throw it first. He did it. He did it. Dallas Braden just thrown a perfect game.
You know, there's days where things just kind of click and things happen.
Swinging a ground ball left side. Castro's got it. Spins, throws. He got him. A perfect game for Roy Halladay.
He makes the catch. Oh, Jackson.
26 up, 26 down. Ground ball, right side. Colorado covers. He's out. No, he's safe.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness, Jim Joyce. No.
A perfect game taken away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Three-run home run is very first at bat.
The ball hit deep. Stretch.
Jody Garrett just hit for the cycle in Phoenix, Arizona.
He didn't come to bore you with the Cinderella story.
It is gone. A grand slam on the first pitch that he sees in the major league. Oh, my goodness. The Phillies have won it again. Third straight walk-off win in extra innings.
Raise them high in the sky. Keep them up. Time to bring the place alive.
Music is my time machine. So call Cinderella Man.
Nolan Ryan is the 20th pitcher in Major League Baseball history to win 300 games. Cal Ripken Jr. has reached the unreachable star. That ball is gone to McSpain. A home run! Number 61. Number 756.
Arrow's on its way. Number 4 in a row.
We just want to take this moment to salute you, the greatest fans in the world.
Jackie's entry into Major League Baseball will forever remain baseball's proudest moment. Taking the unprecedented step of retiring his uniform number 42, in perpetuity.
This time Liriano Chichi, there he goes! And after 62 years, move over Ty Cobb. 893 lifetime stolen bases. Grew up here in Oakland. Setting the record here at home.
Tonight we pay tribute and say goodbye to a great American icon, known to many as the house that Ruth built, Yankee Stadium.
We just want to take this moment to salute you, the greatest fans in the world.
offense relies on Mike Piazza's league-leading hitting and power. Last night, Piazza returned from a midweek knee injury to put a smile on his manager's face. Eric Karros muscled up as well as the Dodgers banged out a season-high 16 hits at Shea Stadium. Tommy knows the Dodgers' success rests on the broad shoulders of his all-star catcher. Sore knee and all, the Dodgers need him now and for the stretch.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Major League Baseball on Fox. Same game, but a new attitude.
The sparkling skyline of New York City out to Shea Stadium on a gorgeous day for baseball, 82 degrees and sunny. We get ready to bring you Major League Baseball on.
You're watching Fox Saturday Baseball.
As the Expos entertain the Mets, and Jeff Torborg and John Rooney have the call. Oh, sweet.
As the '96 season began, many anxiously wondered what course the Montreal Expos would chart. But in his typical fashion, manager Felipe Alou has exhibited his unique ability to maximize the talent at his disposal, encouraging, teaching, and developing a fundamentally sound ball club. Led by Felipe's son, Moises Alou, the Expos are hoping to make a serious run at postseason play for the first time since 1981. They're getting ready for Saturday afternoon baseball, and Dallas Green has plenty to smile about as his Mets are winning. They're trying to make it 3 in a row today as the New York Mets come calling on the Montreal Expos inside Olympic Stadium in Montreal. And as the fans file in for the game today, we'll check the standings in the East, where the Braves are leading the Expos by 4. The New York Mets are 5 games away from break even. They're 12 games behind the Atlanta Braves. A very pleasant good afternoon.
This is a Fox Sports presentation. Hey, man, you better move over. That's all. Because we're here with our backs to the wall, getting set to play some Fox Saturday baseball. Joe and Lou, Bernie and Junior, Tino and Buhner, East Coast and West Coast. Playoff preview, the New York Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. Baseball's newest and best rivalry. Simply baseball like it ought to be. Down the coast, it's the Boston Red Sox and Angels from Greentown. Mighty Mo Vaughn is joined by the game's new superstar, shortstop Nomar Garciaparra. Together, their fierce firepower delivers an offensive explosion. But these Angels are mighty in their own right, as Tim Salmon and Jim Edmonds are out of sight. I feel good, and I knew that I would, because today the hardest working man in sports television is ready to roll on the one and only Fox Saturday.
A beautiful Saturday in the Emerald City, Seattle, Washington, and a sellout crowd of better than 57,000 on hand at the Kingdome for this showdown series between the defending world champion Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. And a pleasant good afternoon to you.
All right, that's it for now from Hollywood. Time to throw it back east, where the Mets battle the Marlins from South Florida. The Marlins are poised for their first ever postseason berth. Tom Brenneman and Bob Brenly have the call.
Another quiet, lazy day along the Atlantic Ocean, but a wild crowd expected here today at Pro Player Stadium. The Marlins are thinking the postseason, and they'll go one step to capturing that bid as they take on the New York Mets here today. And a pleasant good afternoon to you.
Here's Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, 1 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
San Francisco, and 41,000 plus jam-packed into Pac-Bell Park for Game 2 of this National League Division Series as the Giants try to take a 2-game
Houston on lead over the New York Mets. And a pleasant good evening to you. Alongside Bob Brenly, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to playoff baseball here on Fox. Clearly, Bobby, it goes without saying, this is a game the Mets have to win.
It's a Saturday afternoon at Shea, and a preview of some of Tuesday's All-Stars in baseball's most intense interleague battle. It's also a look back as a former Mets superstar returns to Shea. What's up, Doc? New scrubs and another chance. Welcome to Shea Stadium, and welcome to the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. And now welcome to
Walker and the Rockies will battle Sheffield and Dodgers. Fox Saturday Baseball next week.
And welcome to the 2001 World Series, everybody. Phoenix, Arizona, Bank One Ballpark, and as you might expect, security is high, and so is the level of excitement. Inside, these fans cannot wait for tonight's first pitch as the Arizona Diamondbacks take on the New York Yankees.
I'm Jeannie Velasco at the Fox Network Center. It's the sports equivalent of a civil war, and the White Sox have traveled 8.1 miles north, ready to battle for the series and their season. It's the Windy City Series, part of interleague play, next on Fox.
Chicago, Chicago.
Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
All eyes in the city of Chicago focused this afternoon on Wrigley Field for the second of a three-game interleague series. It's the Cubs and the White Sox. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball. Kenny Albert, along with the man who played for both the Cubs and the White Sox, Darren Jackson. Darren, Cubs won the series opener 8-4 yesterday afternoon. Home run derby. Cubs hit 3 out of the 5.
Well, yeah, Sammy Sosa stepped up in the box yesterday, and he just gets into a ball and lays into it as deep as you want to hit one to center field. His 475th career blast, his 25th of the season, and Sammy Sosa is just moving right up that home run list. One of those guys that can really hurt you, and you want to avoid the long ball today with Sammy. You have Todd Hundley, who steps up also, who's been swinging the bat very well. He's hit 4 home runs over his last 8 games, and he goes on the board twice yesterday with a couple of bombs. He's bulk right there. He can't keep him in the ballpark. So it's one of those days where you got to be very careful with the long ball if the wind is blowing out, specifically here at Wrigley Field. You also had another guy.
And that was Paul Konerko. No DH here at Wrigley for the White Sox. Konerko started at first base. Frank Thomas on the bench. And Konerko went deep twice.
Well, Paul Konerko for the Sox has been Mr. Offense all year long. He has provided the runs batted in. Yesterday, he gets on the board with a couple of long balls. He's not the one that you want to just have to rely on, but at the same time, if nobody else is doing it, Paulie's going to step up and get it done. You need some other guys in the lineup to step it up and help Paulie out.
And Darren, game 2 of the series this afternoon, tremendous pitching matchup. The winningest pitchers in the city of Chicago last season, as Mark Foley won 16 for the Sox, John Lieber 20 for the Cubs. The fans are ready. We're ready too. Cubs and White Sox next.
Their last strike. Struck him out. Ugat Urbina strikes out the side of the ninth, and Guzman, Koski, and Ortiz. He and Pedro Martinez combine on the shutout, striking out 11. And Urbina picks up his 27th save of the year. Saw some great pitching today. The Red Sox got to Joe Mays for 2 runs in the second. That's all they needed. He pitched well after that, but Pedro Martinez was almost unhittable, scattering just 4 hits.
Occasional slider. That is the slider right there to pick up the strikeout, the final strikeout of the ball game.
So Urbina striking out the side in the ninth. And a sellout crowd in Boston goes home happy. Fast-paced game today. Time of game just 2 hours and 22 minutes. That's the 17th shutout of the year for the Red Sox, tops in the American League. Oh, the final score from Fenway Park in Boston, the Red Sox 2 and the Minnesota Twins nothing. Well, the Red Sox, who were a half game out of the wild card spot, trailing Anaheim, pick up a big win this afternoon. And a virtual tie with the Angels. Oakland a half game back, and we'll be back at Fenway with more in a moment.
Question. What? People are raving about Cedric the Entertainer presents. Oh, they laughed his horse since my first husband died.
A new sketch comedy show, Wednesdays, Fox Ball.
Back at Fenway Park in Boston, Mel Proctor with Jerry Remy as Pedro Martinez and Ugat Urbina come out on the shutout. Martinez going 8 scoreless innings. He's now 16-2, the 27th save for Urbina. And Pedro Martinez has now pitched 31 scoreless innings. And with us is the catcher for the Boston Red Sox, Jason Varitek. What's it like catching Pedro?
It's a treat on my part. He gives me tons of options to work with. You know, he didn't pitch at his strongest today, but he pitched extremely well. You know, he's able to cut the ball, sink the ball, use his breaking ball and his changeup. And
Varitek behind the plate tonight, or this afternoon, catching Martinez and Urbina as they combine on the shutout. Pedro in his last 10 starts is now 9-0 with a 0.87 earned run average. 31 consecutive scoreless innings.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that, obviously, and the Red Sox have been fortunate to have 2 guys pitching very well, Pedro Martinez and, of course, Derek Lowe, and they have really made a huge impact on this ball club. But we look at guys all in contention for obviously a Cy Young Award. Derek Lowe at 16-5, Pedro Martinez now at 16-2, Barry Zito 15-5 with the Oakland Athletics, and Burley of Chicago 15-8. But right now it seems to be Lowe and Martinez. Derek Lowe beat Zito in a ball game here earlier this week. But boy, all 3 of those guys, actually all 4 of those guys, outstanding pitches.
You know, for those who haven't seen Derek Lowe, he was an ineffective closer last year, was converted to a starting pitcher. What has made him so good?
Well, it's been one of the best stories in baseball. A guy that made 3 starts at the end of last year to build up his confidence, trained as a starting pitcher in the offseason, and then came out this year, you know, won early, gained confidence again, and so effective with that sinker.
Better. Pedro Martinez, the story today. 8 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts, no walks, and he struck out his hitters just about every conceivable way. Pedro now 16-2 on the year. And he and teammate Derek Lowe combined for 32 wins. Oh, the Red Sox win it, getting some more good pitching. Back with more in a moment.
From Sprint.
It begins here for me just fine. To each its own greatness. MLB Authentic Collection.
A small town is haunted by a string of murders around a graveyard.
A killer is threatening the community.
America's Most Wanted, strange but true, at 9 tonight on Fox.
Back at Fenway Park, the Red Sox bouncing back from a 5-4 loss to the Twins last night as Pedro Martinez and Ugetter Boone combined on the shutout. And let's go now to the Cardinals-Mets game in St. Louis. The Cardinals have a 5-4 lead, and we check in with Josh Lewin and Tim McCarver.
We'd like to welcome those of you who have watched Pedro Martinez obliterate the Twins today. 2-0 was that final.
Our crew saying goodnight from Florida. Now we send you to the Great Lakes Regional.
It is the Crucible. It is a place like no other. And all who aspire to greatness must pass through it. It exists to measure the fraction of a second, the thousandth of an inch, that separates mediocrity from greatness. It's calling to test the best against the best, against themselves, and against history. The 2002 Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Fox.
America's pastime returns to Fox.
The coordinating producer leaving. The senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill. Right back to Carsey. The flip, and the Yankees win it 8-3. Yankees win their 6th in a row. 2nd straight here in Seattle. Alfonso Soriano, newest member of the 30-30 club, only the 2nd Yankee to do it. Next Saturday on Fox, some of you will see the Braves and the Dodgers, others the Angels and the Red Sox, plus other regional action. A doubleheader for those of you watching in the Los Angeles area. Bernie Williams, 11 consecutive hits. That streak came to an end. Soriano now at 30 home runs, 34 steals, joining Bobby Bonds as the only Yankees to hit the 30-30 club. So congratulations to the Yankees second baseman. Yankees hit 4 home runs on the day, now have 185 on the season. Well, once again, baseball on Saturday here on Fox. Check local listings. It all begins with This Week in Baseball at 12:30 Eastern. For Steve Lyons and our entire crew, Kenny Albert saying so long from Seattle.
On July 9th, 2 leagues of superhumans, the best of the best, will battle to prove which league is greater. See all-stars like Bonds, Johnson, Piazza, A-Rod, Saxon, Pedro, Ichiro, Jeter, and Sosa. It's a superhuman showdown. Watch the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, July 9th. Don't miss it.
Welcome to the Sprint pregame show, brought to you by Sprint, proudly offering picture mail and PCS Vision picture phones.
Labor, genius and conqueror of the earth.
24 hours a day in World War II. 7 days a week, labor built the planes, tanks, guns, ships.
greater legacy of baseball suffering than right here in Boston. The house that Ruth left. But these Sox are not laboring over the curse. Oh, no, they hear opportunity knocking with the Yankees in their sights, literally. Of course, pennant races are the essence of baseball, the bridge between the dog days and the postseason magic. It's days like these that we remember baseball's golden rule. Anybody can beat anybody. Of course, not just anybody. It's brave enough to get to October. Hi, everyone. Welcome inside the Fox Network Center. Jeannie Zalasko along with Kevin Kennedy. This is Fox Saturday Baseball, your game of the week. And all is not well, or should I say wells, in Pinstripes land. I'm not talking about the loss at Fenway Friday. The Yankees received their first blow from one of their own. David Wells fired back after his work ethic was called into question by his players.
$5 to the Yankees fan.
Yes, the Yankees and the Red Sox are at it again. And last night at Fenway Park, the Red Sox bats exploded to the tune of 10 runs in a 10-5 victory, smashing 3 home runs and drawing first blood against the Yankees in a critical series with Pedro Martinez, their ace, working today. Major League Baseball on Fox is brought to you by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers. And another sellout crowd at Fenway Park for Game 2 of the 3-game set between the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. And the Red Sox, by winning last night, now trail the Yankees by 3.5 games in the American League East and hold a 1/2 game lead over the Seattle Mariners in the wild card battle. And welcome to Boston, everyone, under overcast skies. I'm Dick Stockton along with Tim McCarver. And Tim, the Red Sox keep getting off the mat, and they're really closing the lead against the New Yorkers.
Keep in mind that in their illustrious history.
And it was the Marlins playing some afternoon baseball.
For the first time ever, the league that wins the All-Star game will earn home field advantage in the World Series. The stakes are raised. The intensity is back. The 2003 All-Star game only on Fox. This time, it counts.
A long time ago, at the dawn of the 20th century, the war between the Pilgrims and the Highlanders began. The Pilgrims would become Red Sox, and the Highlanders became Yankees, as this war would rage into the 21st century.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, before the Dark Times, before the Empire.
For decades, baseball battles would be fought on the field of play as the evil empire of New York grew by 26 championships. And in more recent times, this war would escalate to a level never before seen. And the baseball battles raged on and off the field.
Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez.
Is the dark side stronger?
No. The Empire grew stronger with the recruitment of A-Rod.
The number 13, Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees.
Or did it?
But how am I to know the good side from the bad?
You will know. Join me, A-Rod. Join the dark side. Together, we cannot be defeated. The very same A-Rod who was once believed to be a Jedi by the rebel Red Sox forces from the north.
I won't fail you. I'm not afraid.
Last year, these rebels were cowboys, but then boom hit a devastating bomb into the Bronx night. So now, they prefer to be just idiots.
I think when you have idiots on the team, you know, like Kevin and myself.
If that's what they wish, so be it, rebels.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
You talk about looking for a reason. Here we go. Varitek and A-Rod.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
Oh, that's all.
You are beaten. It is useless to resist.
Driven in the air to deep right field. Red Sox win it.
I got him. Great kid. Don't get cocky.
Vader.
Force will be with you, always.
The Red Sox rebels stand just 7 battles away from that final frontier of defeating the enemy evil empire. But the empire will always strike back.
Can't we all just get along?
I'm your daddy, Pedro. The Star Wars trilogy available on DVD, but this epic battle is coming to you live right now on Fox. Yankees, Red Sox. The rivalry remains red hot. The temperature of the night air, okay, a tad chilly. Yes, it is Game 4 in St. Louis, but in Boston it is all about the Red Sox from the State House building in Boston, where even Republicans and Democrats can agree on one thing: go Sox. At Faneuil Hall, Red Sox fans are gathering in the hopes that 86 years of frustration are washed away in a single evening. All that needs to happen is a Red Sox victory. And as we look at Fenway Park, the stadium is closed, but the taverns are filling up in anticipation of a night many Red Sox fans have never experienced: a Boston Red Sox World Championship. But the New England faithful call themselves Red Sox Nation, and if you don't believe it's true, here's proof, beginning with former Red Sox Steve Lyons.
All right, Jeannie, of course you know the Red Sox Nation extends far beyond Boston. In fact, all the way across the nation. I'm at Sonny McLean's right here in the heart of Los Angeles, California. And these fans have been packing this park for 3 straight weeks now, hoping to taste a little piece of history. They've been waiting for that history for 86 years. Now, we're going to send it way back east, where Kenny Albert's standing in a place that Red Sox president Larry Lucchino once called the evil empire. Kenny?
Well, Steve, it may be hard to believe, but the Riviera Cafe is the official Red Sox watering hole in, of all places, New York City. It was just a week ago that the fans got to see their beloved Red Sox eliminate the hated Yankees. Now, Jeannie, what better place to exercise the curse of the Bambino and end 86 years of frustration for these fans than right here in the heart of New York City.
Oh, boy. Of course, this frustration crosses more than state lines. It spans the globe. Good morning, Baghdad. You watch, we salute you, members of the multinational force Iraq and all units around the international zone. We thank you. An international affair for sure, but all eyes right here as we surf the sea of red. The hunt for Red Sox October has never been closer. Of course, they battle history as well as the Cardinals as we welcome all of you to Game 4 of the World Series on Fox. As always, I am joined by my partner, Mr. Kevin Kennedy. I am Jeannie Velasco, and you could be seeing some history tonight. 86 years in search of a championship. Can we say that enough? The wait could be over.
We've said it now. It could be over, but not if Tony La Russa and these fans have something to say about it. Nobody wants to have more energy than these fans tonight, because last night they were knocked out of the game early. This ball club is resilient as well, and Tony La Russa is going to take a page out of the Red Sox book, where they came back after being down 3 games to none. They won 4 straight. It has never been done in the history of the game. La Russa's ball club would like to repeat that tonight. Let's go back to why the hell the Red Sox got there. The luck of the Irish, who knows? Malloy gets the walk in Game 4 of the LCS. Dave Roberts pitched run, steals a base. Bill Miller ties it. Okay, that gets them another game. They go on to Game 5. Tony Clark, it looks like it's done here. They're over in Game 5. No, a ground rule double. Sierra can't score that short wall at around the pesky pole in Fenway. How about Belwer? All right, in New York, a 3-run home run. He hadn't done much until this point. Well, they ruled it a ground rule double. The umpires got it right. It turned into a home run. Yankees normally get these kind of calls, don't they? Not the Red Sox. How about this call? A-Rod slapping the ball out of the hand of Arroyo. They call it safe at second base. No, they reverse it. That call was called right by the umpires once again. And how about the cutoff man? Bill Miller reaching for it, trying to double off Pujols. Manny Ramirez misses the cutoff man, only to throw out and double off Larry Walker. And this is the turning point I'm talking about right here. Jeff Suppan. Go or no, go or no. He goes back to third base, second and third. Nobody out, ground ball on the right side. That would have tied the score. It didn't happen for him.
All right, you are not done, because we got to break down tonight's pitchers.
Derek Lowe got it done against the Yankees with sinkers and sliders and got the Yankees to expand the zone. Chase bad pitches out of the zone. That's not what the Cardinals have to do tonight. They have to make him come to him. Jason Marquis has to do this, throw strikes. Strike 1, strike 2. got a good fastball, 94, 95, pretty good change. They got to minimize those walks, though. That's what he's done too much of in the postseason. Look at the pitchers in this series of starters. The Red Sox, 16-plus innings, ERA 2.7. The Cardinals, 11-plus innings, ERA pushing 12. That's been the biggest difference for me. The starting pitching of the Cardinals has not gotten deeper as an average than 3-plus innings. Marquis has to go deeper tonight to set up that Cardinal bullpen. They only have one lefty in that bullpen, and that's Ray King. That's the guy you got to pick to face David Ortiz.
Absolutely.
You can't use him too early. If they do, it's all over. So the starters have to get deeper so it counts when they bring in Ray King to face David Ortiz.
All right, we talked about Jason Marquis being on the big stage. This is not the first time he's been on the big stage. He did play in a Little League World Series, just like another man out here tonight, Jason Varitek.
Jason Varitek, shortstop.
Shortstop. It's a good thing they moved him. Can't pick on a little kid, but the defense wasn't there yet.
I'm hitting right-handed right there. Hey, this is a tough play right here. Well, no, he couldn't get out of the glove. I'll tell you what. The heart and soul of this ball club. Look at that face right there of Jason Varitek. Put that guy behind the plate. He's tough. He's nails behind there. He's been really, for me, their MVP all season long because of what he does, not offensively. We know he can swing the bat. It's his defense. It's the way he works the pitchers in and out. Blocks the plate as well as anybody in the game and blocks balls as well as anybody in the game. This guy, to me, is a heart and soul, a free agent. You can't let this guy get away. He's nails behind the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. History, of course, seems lost on all of these Red Sox. They just seem to worry about whether or not they're having a good hair night. Idiots? Well, I don't know that you can necessarily call them that with it. So does yours, Kevin. Ignorance remains bliss around the water cooler.
Hey, man, what's up?
Hey, dude, what's up, man? What'd you do last night?
You know, same old, same old.
Dang, the Patriots won 20 in a row.
Again? Wow, that's pretty amazing. And how about Steve Spurrier getting interviewed for the Florida Gators?
I saw that, man. That was unbelievable. What are you doing tonight?
You know, something to come up, you know. How about you?
Probably same old thing. Why don't you give me a call tonight, man?
I can do that.
We can hang out or something.
Yeah, obviously they found something to do tonight. I think what's interesting, Mr. Damon here said when he joined this club, he went into the clubhouse, nobody was playing cards, nobody was playing video games, everybody was doing their own thing. Somehow this club has come together real loose and it's working for them.
We talked about the luck of the Irish and the Boston Red Sox. Really, I believe you got to have talent. You make your own breaks, and that's what this Red Sox club has done. There's no gimmies on this ball club. They have forced the issue. They have put it to the test of the New York Yankees. They forced them to make those guys walk Millar in the ninth inning when they could have finished it off. Why? Because Millar could take you deep. Varitek could take you deep. Damon could take you deep. Forget about Manny Ramirez and Ortiz. You got other guys to worry about as well. How about Bellhorn, the series he's had?
All right, we need to get you going out to the ball game. It's going to be a good one. Until this October, it was considered almost impossible for any team to recover from an 0-3 deficit. That is until the Red Sox came along. Now the Cardinals will have to draw from their rivals for inspiration. Unbelievable. 1 week ago, they were 3 outs away from getting swept. Now they are on the brink of 86ing the curse and claiming baseball's ultimate prize. Oh, what a century it has been.
I'm 15 for a moment, caught in between 10 and 20, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. I'm 45 for a moment, the sea is high, and I'm heading through war crosses, chasing the years of my life. 15, there's still time for you, time to buy you, time to lose yourself within a morning star. 15, I'm alright with you. 15 is never a wish better than this. When you only got 100 years to live, half time goes by, suddenly you're wise, another blink of an eye. 67 is gone, the sun is getting high, we're moving on. I'm 99 for a moment,
back to the Dodge pregame show on Fox. History Mayor.
With 2 out and nobody on, here comes a 3-1. Williams couldn't hold up, full count. And this day could be down to its last pitch. And the Red Sox fans make noise. In the air to center. The Boston Red Sox win this game 17-1. And these two clubs have split the first 2 games of this set. For more information on today's game and for the latest information on Major League Baseball, go to foxsports.com, powered by MSN. There's our final score today. Don't miss NASCAR on Fox tomorrow from Charlotte with a Coca-Cola 600 starting at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the Angels are in Boston to take on the Red Sox. The Giants take on the Mets here in New York, plus other regional action. Check your local listings. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck. So long from New York. You've been watching Fox Sports, your home for the 2005 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. A lot of hits, a lot of runs. 18 total, and the Red Sox had 17 of them. Great start by Clement, who's now 6-0. Clement and the Red Sox beat Pavano and the Yankees. From all of us here in the Bronx, so long from New York. Red Sox win it 17-1. Until next Saturday, my friends, from Fenway.
This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, home to Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and NASCAR. This is a presentation of Fox Sports.
Welcome to the Chevy MLB pregame show on Fox. Chevy, an American Revolution.
The 1-1 to Jeter. Swinging a bouncing ball to the shortstop. Renteria has it. Set. Throws to first. The Red Sox are tied for the American League's Eastern Division lead. And the Red Sox and the Yankees go down to the final 2 games of the regular season. All even.
Oh, yeah. All tied up with 1 place to go. Fox Saturday Baseball, the ultimate season finale, or some see it, God's plan. The Red Sox, the Yankees playing a little knockout baseball. And Joe Buck gets to witness the madness.
All right, Jeannie, I've got the best seat in the house for the biggest game in the land. The 2 teams tied after 160 games this season. Great pitching matchup. Randy Johnson, Tim Wakefield. You should know this. A $45 ticket on the street would cost you $1,500. But for those at home watching on Fox, we'll bring it to you for nothing. The winner of this game gets into the playoffs if the Cleveland Indians lose. And for more on the Cleveland situation, let's go to Josh Lewin.
Thanks, Joe. You've got those 2 freight trains barreling towards each other in Boston. Here in Cleveland, the fans are rooting for the little engine that could. The Indians 1 game back with 2 to play, ready for the White Sox today. A sellout crowd ready as well on a beautiful October afternoon. Jeannie, we send it back to you.
After a heartbreaker last night in Cleveland, the stage is set, so hold on tight for the weekend that will decide the entire 2005 season. Can you stand it? Jeannie Zalaska along with Kevin Kennedy. Welcome to the postseason. All right, feels like it. Kind of is.
I can stand it.
FoxSports.com senior writer Ken Rosenthal will be joining us in just...
You're watching Fox Sports, home to Major League Baseball, the National Football League, NASCAR, and the new home of the BCS. This is America's #1 sports network.
Welcome to the Chevy MLB pregame show on Fox. Chevy, baseball's #1 fan in American Revolution.
On this holiday weekend, when America celebrates its birthday, we should consider what July 4th really stands for. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. The words of Lady Liberty have never been more true than right now, and baseball perfects that philosophy. It is itself a melting pot, a place where players from around the world come together for a common goal, to play the game they love. In the ladies' home of New York, baseball is played on two sides of town, and each team has a passionate following. When the New York Mets and the New York Yankees play, it means something.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Something that we all grew up listening to from our parents, even our grandparents. The Subway Series. Derek Jeter starts in with a bang.
In Chicago, the city made up of neighborhoods, these two teams are divided by the North and the South. Both sides have proud and faithful fans, but whether you're rooting for the White Sox on the South side or the Cubs on the North side, it comes with great pride to be from Chicago. And down in the big state of Texas, the Astros and the Rangers play for the pride of the Lone Star State. So, on this American birthday, on and off the field, we should not remember what we are, but who we are. It's Fox Saturday Baseball. Next.
Independence Weekend, does that mean we are free of the madness in Chicago? Could be. Not just a series, Kevin Kennedy. This is a citywide cleansing, and guess who's washed up again?
Well, it's tough because Uribe is a 241 hitter, but he's the guy driving in 5 runs last night, including a 3-run home run. Good pitching from John Garland. The Cubs, once again, go down to the White Sox.
Yeah, Uribe just a triple short of the cycle. How about the Subway Series and Mike Mussina?
Mussina looking good. 4 shutout innings, 4 no-hit innings. He's done that a couple of times in his career. This was a ball that brought down the rain right here. Jason
Right out
Giambi.
of the gate. Did you say rain? Real rain. You weren't kidding. An hour and change delay. No rain out, but lights out, because look who's coming.
The only real Sandman right there. Of course, Billy Wagner.
I guess there's another perspective in New York.
Yeah, there is. And Mussina, you know, he's had perfect game going to the 9th inning twice, only to have it broken up, but he wouldn't resume in this particular game.
All right, 2-game win streak for the Bash Unit Yankees. Kevin Kennedy along with Jeannie Zalasko. This is Fox Saturday Baseball. The Red Sox got a lot of flack for not taking advantage of the struggles in New York. How did they respond? With incredible baseball of the last 2 weeks, their 12-game win streak came to an end last night. Last time they put together a run like this, let me think. You were at the helm, Kevin Kennedy. You won the division.
I forgot about that. We won 12
You
in a
honestly
row.
did. I had to remind you.
Well, you know what? The Red Sox have a chance to win the division because they've got the hitting. We know about that. The starting pitching has been great. Papelbon's been great. But what about the defense? 17 consecutive errorless games. That's an MLB record. And you don't really think about Red Sox teams playing that kind of defense. But with the offseason moves, especially on the left side, they've done a good job.
You want records? How about this one? As Baltimore gets together with the Braves this weekend, consider this. Miguel Tejada is ready to suit up for his 1,000th game, the longest active streak in the majors. And talk about your sibling rivalry. Yikes. What's the Christmas present this year from Jeff to Jared?
Well, I think Jared should have stayed up when he was 4-0 with the 1.37, and Jeff should have gone to the bullpen. I know the Angels were looking to trade Jeff. Thought there'd be more value keeping him in the rotation, but replacing your veteran older brother with the younger brother, that can't be good for the family. The Angels are going to make a move. They have 10 days to trade Jeff Weaver. If not, he becomes a free agent, and they're going to have to eat the rest of his salary.
Mama was in the paper this morning saying, you know, it's just business. We shall see. Yeah, going to Mom for the quotes.
Wow.
I think the Angels are frustrated. The entire National League is developing an inferiority complex. This is the most lopsided season in the 9 previous years of interleague play.
Well, you know, there's some good teams in the National League, but there's some dominant teams in the American League, and I think that's why you see the imbalance
Payroll,
so far.
DH, what is it?
All of that, Jeannie.
Okay.
There's no question. It's design of the ball club. The Mets are supposed to go into Boston and be competitive against them, but Boston Red Sox sweep.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Only the American League has the vision to make this country great again. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for your 2004 Major League Baseball All-Star Game?
2004 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, live from Minute Maid Park.
July 13th, only on Fox.
Thank you for your support.
The World Series. America's grand game is on Fox.
Welcome to the Chevy MLB pregame on Fox. Chevy and baseball, the love affair continues. Teams are within 6 games of either their division lead or a wild card berth. You can see 3 of those squads this afternoon on Fox. Sox and Sox from the South Side, or the Dodgers are back in New York. Not Brooklyn, the Queens. Hi, everybody, and welcome inside the Fox Network Center. I am Chris Rose, filling in for Jeannie Salasco, joined today by Kevin Kennedy and Eric Karros. Guys, I am pleased to be with you, but unfortunately not under these circumstances. Jeannie's father, Stanley, passed away this week, and obviously the entire Fox family is thinking about her family. Skip.
You're right, Chris, and as my partner for 7 years right up here on this desk, she's one of the strongest people I know, and I talked to Jeannie a couple of days ago, and she said, ironically, you know, she got into this business because her father was such a big sports fan, especially baseball, and she got her strength from him. Our thoughts and prayers, Jeannie, are with you and your family.
Obviously. Now, Jeannie is going to be back where she belongs, right here in the seat next week. In the meantime, we will cover the game she so dearly loves. And we're going to start off with the best team in baseball. Boston with a doubleheader sweep on Chicago's South Side on Friday. Josh Beckett, first in the bigs to 16 wins, Skip.
Well, you know what? The guy throws 97 miles an hour, but John Farrell, the pitching coach, one of the things that he's done with Josh Beckett is use his secondary pitches more, the curveball, the changeups, in situations where last year he probably would have thrown the fastball and maybe got it knocked out of the ballpark. 16 wins, maybe on his way to 20, probably one of the top 2 leading contenders for Cy Young Award. Eric Bedard, to me, is the other.
Well, and that's not the only thing that Boston Red Sox have to be excited about. Right now, Big Papi is starting to swing the bat. Through the first half of this month, he was hitting .240, only 1 home run. But since August 16th, he's hitting the Major League best 500. 4 home runs, the number of RBIs. If he can start swinging the bat and add that power to that Boston lineup that they've been lacking all year long, they really don't have a weakness, and this Boston team should just run.
No more head-first slides into second to hurt the shoulders. Forget about it.
All right, a guy that's taking a head-first slide into a new bar in a new city is David Wells. Hey, off to Los Angeles. The Dodgers are his 9th team. He's going to get the start Sunday at Shea, but guys, does he have anything left?
Well, you know what? When I've seen him pitch, he's still throwing 89 to 90. He still has pretty good command with the curveball and changeup, but really out of desperation because Brett Tomka was not getting it done. They designated him for assignment. Randy Wolf will not be back in the starting role should he come back at all this year. This was desperation. It could cost him incentives, and I think that's one of the reasons David was released, because he has a lot of incentives right now in his contract past a certain amount of starts.
Well, you know, it is an act of desperation, but general manager Ned Colletti of the Dodgers still feels the Western Division is wide open. You look at Arizona right now at top, San Diego and Los Angeles, but Los Angeles plays 6 games against Arizona and 6 against San Diego. And look at that wild card race, still wide open, but I do believe the National League representative of the wild card will come from the Western Division.
All right, over to the AL. Kevin Kennedy was actually on his 3rd stage of REM sleep last night by the time the Tigers and Yanks finished the game. After a 4-hour rain delay, first pitch came after 11 Eastern. Last call was 3:30 a.m. when Carlos Guillen cranked this one. Tigers closed within 1.5 of Cleveland in the Central. What about the Yanks? They were within 4 games of Boston just a few weeks ago. Now it's 6.5.
Well,
Skip.
because Carlos Guillen was practicing his golf in that 4-hour rain delay right there. He hit that
but it was a heck of an 8-iron.
Ball right off the ground right there by Sean Henn for the home run. Well, the Yankees now 6.5 back after the Red Sox win 2 yesterday. They're making it tough for themselves once again. People thought this was their toughest stretch, and it is. And Detroit winning last night was huge for them. The Yankees really, when they play Boston next Tuesday, they have to be, to me, 5 or less to get back into the. And if that's the case, they have to sweep Boston. To me, the wild card probably is going to be between the Yankees and the Mariners or the Angels. And I think Detroit and Cleveland, they're going to have to win their divisions to go to the postseason.
All right, well, one team you didn't see on that graphic, Minnesota, which is now within 5.5 games of Cleveland in the AL Central after last night's win in Baltimore. Torrey Hunter went deep yet again, but is the free agent to be out of here after the season. FoxSports.com's Ken Rosenthal has the inside pitch. Kenny, what's going on?
Chris, Hunter has rejected a deal from the Twins, an offer from the Twins, believed to be in the range of 4 years, $14 million per season. We're talking about a Gold Glove center fielder in the midst of a career offensive year, and Hunter could end up with a deal similar to those of Ichiro and Vernon Wells. Both signed extensions with average values of $18 million.
Afternoon for baseball on Chicago's South Side. Fox Saturday Baseball proud to present an American League matchup as the visiting Boston Red Sox contend with the homestanding Chicago White Sox. Welcome to U.S. Cellular Field alongside Joe Girardi, Matt Vasgersian. The Boston Red Sox running roughshod over the American League East. They start play this afternoon with baseball's best record, and it seems, Joe, that all is well in Red Sox Nation.
It really is. They've won 4 out of their last 5 games on this road trip, and they go to New York next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They've increased their lead from 4 to 6.5 games over that time. But if you look at one guy they probably want to really get going before the end of the season, that's Eric Gagne, who has an ERA over 10 since joining the Red Sox. Starters usually don't give you as much time during the playoffs because the starts are more intense. So you'd like to have 3 guys at that back end. They have Papelbon and Okajima going well. They need to get Gagne going.
Yeah, well, it may be a matter of fine-tuning in Boston. Things in Chicago haven't been nearly as rosy for the White Sox. However, the glass-half-full fan would say it's given the White Sox a chance to take a look into the future.
Well, Josh Fields, their young third baseman, has done an outstanding job leading all rookies in home runs. And if you project his numbers over 162 games, he'd drive in more than 100 runs. They have Danny Richard second, who has played fairly well, and they have Jerry Owens, a speedy center fielder. But the one thing I think they needed to get going is their starting rotation. They have really struggled, and you look at their last 23 starts that Contreras, Garland, Danks, and Burley have had, they have not won a game. Burley just signed a 3-year extension. They expect him to be back and all these guys to get back, so they need to get these guys going before next year.
Boston has had a good time of it in Chicago of late. The Red Sox have won 12 of their last 15 on the South Side. It's the Sox and the Sox on Fox. Starting lineups in the opening pitch coming up right after this.
FoxSports.com, the world's favorite sports site.
And we welcome you to Coors Field at Denver, Colorado. It's World Series Live presented by AT&T. It's our pregame and batting practice show. If you're watching at FoxSports.com, MLB.com, keyword World Series Live. A sunny day here, 70 degrees. It'll cool off, obviously, as the sun fades before first pitch local time, as the Red Sox are currently out taking batting practice and fielding. The Rockies moments ago, Kevin Youkilis.
Humans tell stories of heroes, and we humans tell stories of their deeds. And although those heroes begin their lives as mortals, through their deeds and our storytelling down the ages, they become immortals. From the time of Homer, who spun the tale of Odysseus and his rosy-tipped dawn and wine-dark sea, we who from the sideline watch in awe and revel in the feats of those who perform far beyond our puny expectations, and those players, through their performance, raise themselves to the level of heroes.
The pressure mounts. Listen to these fans. There they go.
Left my heart in San Francisco. Your golden sun will shine on me.
PNC Park. The 2007 All-Star Game in HD, July 10th, only on Fox.
It's postseason lore personified. The Texas Rangers are in the World Series for the first time in franchise history. Inspired by legendary team president Nolan Ryan. Driven by manager Ron Washington. Powered by the dynamic Josh Hamilton.
Down the line, deep, and goal!
And bolstered by the history-making exploits of hurler Cliff Lee.
Cliff Lee, simply masterful.
Texas is aiming to win it all. Don't miss the epic drama of the World Series on Fox.
2-0 out of the bullpen, making his first start of this season.
This summer, baseball's biggest event is hitting the coast. The 2010 All-Star Game, live Tuesday, July 13th, only on Fox.
Ortiz into deep right field. The Tigers march to the World Series. Krasinski is going down to first. Hill gets 7. This game is over.
For one magical night this summer, baseball history will take over New York City.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this moment all my life.
Sports' most legendary stadium hosts its final All-Star Game. As baseball's greatest players take the field for the last Midsummer Classic ever at Yankee Stadium. The 2008 All-Star Game celebration begins July 15th, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox.
I play for the team.
I play for the fans.
I play for the All-Stars that played before me.
I play for home field advantage.
I play for the perfect play.
I play to become baseball royalty.
I play
To turn the lights out.
I play
To be a part of All-Star
history.
I play
for the National League.
For the American League.
I play to win.
To win.
We will win.
We will win.
The road to October starts here.
The MLB All-Star Game, July 16th on Fox.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball. But on one night, they all happen in one place. And this year, all eyes will be on Minneapolis, where baseball's brightest stars will compete for home field advantage in the World Series. The 85th MLB All-Star Game, July 15th on Fox.
How do you define greatness? Is it an object you win? Is it a height you reach? Is it a legacy you leave behind? For some, greatness is an endless path of wondering and wishing. For others, it's the solitary goal that defines them. Tonight, two teams begin a journey that has been started by many, but completed by few. It's dynamic arms versus enduring will. An unforgettable streak and unfinished business.
His teams never quit, and you can't predict what's going to happen.
On this stage, where history is made, greatness isn't given, it's earned.
Royals win the pennant! The New York Mets have won the National League pennant!
Power versus power.
This place is ready to go. It's game number 1.
The Final Quest starts now on Fox.
They play they play all season long, these boys of summer. It all comes down to October, where heroes take the biggest stage. The stage where legends are born. The World Series on Fox.
Tonight, two teams rooted in tradition make their long-awaited return to the Fall Classic. To reverse a curse
The Cubs have won the pennant!
and rewrite their history.
Cleveland!
The season's final test starts now. And it begins with Game 1.
Legends never die.
What a night to be in Cleveland. The Cavaliers getting their championship rings next door, and then at Progressive Field, it is Game 1 of the World Series, the Indians and the Cubs, and we welcome you to the Lincoln Motor Company World Series pregame show on Fox. Our thanks to Terrence Howard. Make sure to catch Empire Wednesdays at 9 Eastern on Fox. Come on in to Progressive Field and look at Kyle Schwarber, who had ACL surgery 6 months ago, and he's playing tonight for the Cubs. What a story that is for sure. And he'll face a young superstar shortstop, Francisco Lindor, already 4 multi-hit games this postseason. A couple teams that haven't won the World Series in a long, long time. Chilly night, it's cool, that's for sure. Temperature is going to be in the 40s, right around 51 now, some breeze. And that's what we got for you here from Cleveland, and that's what these two teams are playing for here tonight. The World Series trophy, our set here at Center Field, Progressive Field in Cleveland. Glad to have you aboard here on Fox. And away we go with Frank Thomas, Pete Rose, Alex Rodriguez, Tom Verducci, and I'm Kevin Burkhardt. So 44 of the 50 players on this roster.
And Harold Reynolds, Braves with a 5-1 victory in the series opener last night. Atlanta's 3rd consecutive victory. And Todd, tonight the Braves must face the Mets. Steven Matz, 7 wins, tied for the Major League lead amongst rookie pitchers.
He is electric, but don't just take my word. How about Clayton Kershaw, the master himself, said among left-handed pitchers other than Chris Sale, Steven Matz is at the top of his list. I'll tell you someone else who knows how good he is, the Atlanta Braves. They have seen him twice this year, and have yet to come close to solving Steven Matz. Really stands out to me when you look at the numbers. At a young age, he's already a premier strike thrower. You see all those strikeouts? No walks in these 2 games against Atlanta. 2 starts, 2 wins, 2 good against the Braves.
And a career record of 11-3, first Mets pitcher all time to win 11 of his first 14 decisions. Now Harold on the other side, Braves have won 3 straight for the first time since mid-April, and Freddie Freeman a big reason why. success. They have to have somebody to build around. He's their guy. 10 hits and 16 at-bats over the last 3 games for Freddie Freeman. So the Braves look to make it 4-0 tonight. But the Mets have other ideas. It's baseball night in America from Citi Field. Mets and Braves coming up next.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are North. We are South.
As we close the book on 2017 spring training, tonight we begin writing a new story in the history of the Atlanta Braves. Braves country, welcome to your new home. A glorious Friday evening in store as we open the doors tonight to SunTrust Park. It's the Braves, it's the Yankees, and hey, the gang is all here tonight in Atlanta. Hi again, friends. Joe and Chip, welcome to SunTrust Park. Welcome to a very special exhibition game for the Atlanta Braves. Here we go, buddy.
Pretty exciting night. Fans are here to see what SunTrust Park is like and a good look at the Atlanta Braves. Bartolo Colon on the mound. Our first look at him. He's expected to go 2 or 3 innings, but more than anything else, I'm looking forward to seeing how this park plays, even if it's a 1-game sample.
Packed house tonight. We've got a packed broadcast, player interviews. John Hart will be along to give you the state of the Braves. And, of course, Kelsey Winkert and Paul Bird will be along to tell you all about the Braves' beautiful new home. Bartolo Colon ready to go. It's the Braves and the New York Yankees. Starting lineups from SunTrust Park right after this.
Beautiful night for baseball.
The throw, and he's out. This rivalry, one of the best in sports. Deep into left and out of the ballpark. What a game, what a night. Little fly ball, Braves win. 3 walks him off in the bottom of the 9th inning. It is gone. What a start. Here's one launched. It is gone.
That ball was torched. My goodness.
He has got another Conforto. During the postseason, this guy can light up a radar gun. Back at the wall, it's gone. This guy's been unbelievable.
Big fella.
He got him. That's how this comes to a close. World Series on Fox. The Chicago Cubs and the Cleveland Indians. He has walked to the center of the stage here in October. What a series this is going to be. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this thing unfold. That's strike 3. Back at the wall, it is gone. Dexter Fowler in Game 7. 1-0 Chicago. Drive into left. Let's go. Tie game. Jay Davis. 6-6. This is when the game of baseball is at its best. The Cubs win the World Series.
This is a presentation of Fox Sports.
Tonight, bitter rivals look to make a statement under the bright lights. For the second straight weekend, St. Louis and Chicago square off in an NL Central showdown.
And the Cardinals sweep them right out of St. Louis.
Javier Baez and the Cubs look to avenge last weekend's sweep with the help of some Wrigley magic. Out west, Cody Bellinger continues to slug at a historic pace.
It is back. It is
arch-rival Giants will look to slow them down. Nolan Arenado and the Rockies visit the Big Apple to take on rookie phenom Pete Alonso and the Mets. It's a baseball night in America, and it starts now on Fox.
Chris Bryant leads the leaders of the National League Central, the Cubs, for the moment at home against their bitter rival, the St. Louis Cardinals. He's driven in 6 and 7 games against St. Louis this year. One of the games coming up here on Fox. Justin Turner leading the Dodgers, 60 hits. That's second on the team. And Los Angeles with the best record in the National League, getting ready to take on their rival Giants, and San Francisco losing a tough one-run game there last night. And Nolan Arenado with Chichi Rodriguez, one of the great golfers, one of the more entertaining golfers, as the Rockies and Mets getting ready to go at Citi Field. Trail the Dodgers by 9 in the National League West. The Rockies as we welcome you to the MLB on Fox pregame show presented by Geico. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a good weekend with Eric Karros, Chris Myers, and some great baseball coming up. Some terrific matchups. Start with the National League Central. The Cardinals 3.5 behind the Cubs. You got
It's a walk-off wild card clincher in the 12th, and the Rays are back in the playoffs. Rays and Rangers get the postseason going at the top of the hour here. Game 2 of our doubleheader delivers a pair of aces. Justin Verlander and CC Sabathia take the hill in the Bronx as the Tigers and Yankees play Game 1 of that series. You'll see each and every pitch of those games in every Division Series contest right here on TBS. Welcome into our postseason headquarters and MLB On Deck presented by Chrysler. Great to see you out there. Welcome into the postseason. I'm Matt Weiner along with Dennis Eck.
This is Turner Sports. Traveling down baseball's open road, sometimes the journey takes a detour, though the destination is October. First, there are 162 stops to make along the way. The Braves, a band of warriors trying to hold the wheel steady. High fly ball, and there it goes! The Red Sox, a perennial powerhouse in need of refueling.
Line to the center field, and makes the catch.
Championships aren't the dream, they're the expectation. Their roads intersect, each on the way to the same destination. Braves, Red Sox. Next.
Today, and the weather, it is scorching out. The
Let's sweep through the social media highlights of the ALDS. Toronto's message to the visiting Rangers was loud and clear. Jose Bautista and company brought the Thundersticks and the Broomsticks as the Blue Jays lived up to their knockout prediction. With the support of their NBA counterparts, Hardwood royalty playing the role of inspirer in the Cleveland series as the Cavs' night out turned into an Indians rout. And while it was hard to say goodbye to a giant of the game, two of Poppy's former teammates added crunch and a late lunch. Party at Napoli's!